The major difference between confidence and arrogance. Now I want to start this video with a story because my younger self in grade 9 was very arrogant. This is perhaps from a place of insecurity. I don't know where I got it from, but I think in grade 8 I was rejected by a girl, and then I was so needy back then. Like, I just thought about her all the time. Like, we would hang out, we even sat together, and I thought we were a thing, and then all my mates made fun of me. And then did the cowardly thing and kept texting over Instagram. And then that lasted for a year. And then we became captains together because in our school we were very big, so we had a senior and junior cohort of captains. So for grade 9, and we ended up being vice captains together. Still having attraction to her, but then I started acting very arrogant. I think in a somewhat resentful way, like resent and insecurity, because I wasn't comfortable with myself. So I tried to compensate it by overcompensating. And the reason and how I went about being arrogant, I started disagreeing with people. I started going into arguments. I just wanted to be as disagreeable as possible. In terms of academics, like I'd write climate change was a scam. What else? We had a subject called human technologies, and there was a term about trust, and what they taught about trust is like a currency. And then I argued trust, like, this is just me. I just didn't want to accept what the curriculum was saying. I was like, trust, it's a state of mind. It's like, thinking about it, I probably have to do more research about trust, because trust probably is a currency, but the currency is not the same as, money currency, because currency means it's an exchange of value. And what is the value of trust? And then also trust is probably another subcategory is loyalty. Loyalty and trust is knowing someone has your back and they won't stab you in the back, because that's distrust. That's disloyal. So all of that, I just was so disagreeable. Men were better than women, like all that, like, and then people will say I went through like they argue I'm like still misogynistic, but besides the point. Yes, I was very vocal about my opinions because I was trying to compensate for a lack of confidence within myself. And this is not the way. This is not the way to actually being truly confident. And I learned this concept from like a dating book. Because true confidence is you simply are. What it means is you don't have to say to the world, I am confident. I know what I'm doing. I am competent. It's not. It actually has to do with your relationship with failure. And not being so vocal about it. And being humble about it. Because back to the dating book, it was called Models. I think How to Attract Through Honesty by Mark Manson, who's also the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I was like going through like a dating and relationships phase. I think that was like the only book I read about dating and relationships, and I just stuck by it because honesty is probably the way. But in that book, Mark Manson, in terms of confidence, is in the dating context, which you can probably put it in a real life context, is going up to the girl and saying, "This is who I am. I'm okay with it." And I'm okay with it, like, even with all your flaws, physical, emotional, character flaws, all of it, you're okay with it. That's not to say, like, to not improve, but it's to say, I'm comfortable with myself. I have accepted for who I am. Then from that place of acceptance, there's no place of insecurity. Because insecurity means there's a part of ourselves we can't accept. And perhaps for you, it's not being confident. But I'm mainly talking probably to the guys, not that are unconfident, but are overcompensating for their confidence, which for myself was me. You just have to how do you put it? The reason why I got into the arguments, why I was so arrogant, is because I like the reactions. I like how people perceived me. But true confidence is actually caring more about how you perceive yourself rather than how others perceive you. That was another concept in Mark Manson's book. Because the particular concept called cold approaching, where you're just meeting a random stranger and just going up and starting a conversation, perhaps starting with a compliment. You're going up and saying, I don't care if you I don't care if I get rejected, I don't care that you don't find me attractive. What I care more about is my own self-perception of being able to be brave, to act with courage. So, with yourself, rather than trying to speak boastfully, speaking big. Is that the sprinkler? You can probably hear the sprinkler, can't you? Wait, hold on. I'm actually not wearing any pants. I want to wear some pants. Let's close the window. I should have closed the window beforehand to see the retention rate just go down. That's okay. But yeah, back to like true confidence about self-perception. Like being rejected, like it's just knowing that you'll be okay. Like you're okay in your own skin, you're okay with your own flaws. But you just don't have to be so boastful and speak so big about yourself. Because truly, the one who is confident does not have to speak that he is confident. He simply just is. And then you might ask yourself, are you confident, Denzel? I'm confident in my own skin. I'm still developing. Like, there's a particular part of the business. I want to go into social media marketing, like marketing for businesses, local businesses. And I also want to get a sales job. I think I'm going to cold call, which takes a lot of balls. And I know I'm going to suck at it. Like, I think I listened from an Alex Hormozy video. It is unreasonable for me to be good at something. So I'll suck at it at first, but over a long period of time, it will be unreasonable for me to not. It would be unreasonable for me to suck at it after a long period of time, meaning after so many repetitions, I will have to get good. Just eventually. So the same with confidence. It's more like a mental self-image. Also time. Because it's just how you perceive yourself. Because we tend to care about how others perceive ourselves rather than the most important person in our own life is ourselves. I'm not saying denigrate the social norms, because there's people, I can give examples of people from school who not confident, I think they were still insecure, but they were confident in the way they didn't learn the social rules of how to interact with each other. So they ended up being outcasted. But I want you to be confident but correct in your social setting, like being correct how you conduct a conversation. So simply, the problem arises of being arrogant is because we feel lack. Because we feel we're not good enough. How about instead of not feeling good enough, we can just accept we're not good enough. And that's okay. As long as we're working towards something. I drill this in this point so importantly. It's that the input matters. The input matters above all else. So what you do and who you are, like how you perceive yourself, is going to be more important than the outcome from what you do. So to put it into context, the fact, like for example, the fact that you go to the gym consistently, that's going to give you some confidence. For myself, like I go basically to boxing 4 days a week and I have confidence because I'm learning how to fight and I'm pushing my comfort zone. Like that input is more important than me placing importance on others' perceptions on me boxing. Like, sure, it's a nice bonus to the ego and all that, but it's more important to me that I have instilled discipline into myself, into a physical, basically, not martial art, combat sport. One of the hardest sports, cardio-wise and strength-wise, to keep on fighting for like 2 or 3 minute rounds. It's your input. So if you have a poor self-image of yourself, you have to create evidence of being confident. And how do you do, like, you can't tell yourself I am confident. That is paradoxical, because true confidence is you simply are. This is sort of like the concept in Zen. Like, I've been reading Miyamoto Musashi's The Book of Five Rings, and Zen, like the concept of Zen, talks of is, like ism and being and are. You can't be confident if you have to say you're confident. Like, yeah, for argument's sake, I'll probably have to say I'm confident. Like, if I'm talking to someone trying to give advice, but like with myself, I don't have to like look in the mirror and provide my own affirmation and go, I am confident, because instead I have evidence of inputs that does prove I'm confident, but I've internalized it. I don't have to verbally say it. And then this overconfidence, if you try and keep on saying it, that turns into arrogance, and then people start straying away from you. They start to see you differently. They start to see you put yourself first, and that's quite selfish. Very selfish. Like, as much as, like I say, you're the most important person, you can't trample on other people's, not perceptions, other people's hopes, dreams, and actually, you have to respect their choices. Like, for example, I don't have, like, the guys who are going to university, like, I know 2 guys, they're going to university for engineering. As much as I'm taking the entrepreneurial salesman career pathway, I don't overboast them. You should be, like, I don't talk down on them, because that's arrogance. I can respect that they want this path, that they want to go down this path of engineering, getting their degree and working at an engineering firm. I respect that. And with respect, it's because I'm confident in myself for the chosen path, that the path that I've chosen, I'm confident enough in myself that I don't have to verbalize it and have others validate it, essentially. So confidence is very much an internal game. An internal game. Because as much as you might have a Lamborghini, a Rolex, $1 million in the bank, like all that, like sure, it's evidence, but you want to tie your own self-confidence within yourself rather than outside material possessions or stuff like that. So this is sort of my rant on confidence and arrogance, and to just give you some action steps. It is a tough one, because it's more of a journey. Probably start with small steps, I reckon. If you actually starts with self-awareness, you have to be aware of yourself. Because probably in grade 9, I wasn't aware that I was like being so boastful, being so arrogant, being so, what's the word? Disagreeable. If I just took a step back and go, why am I like this? And see that it was coming from a place of lack, because I got rejected from a girl that ended up being co-vice captains with me. Then that brewed resentment, and that because I felt lack, that I wasn't good enough to date her, when in fact it was just a matter of preference. Like, it's not really the end of the world just because you're unattractive. Like, I understand. Truly, how do I phrase it? It wasn't that. Sure, there's like conventional, like you can be conventionally unattractive, but like not everyone's going to be your type, essentially. And I wasn't her type, so that's not something I can control. And then some part, like the primordial brain, just goes, that means I'm not good enough. That means I'm not worthy to be loved, like all of that In fact, that's why we fear rejection, because it makes us go, we're not good enough. And that's lack. But instead, we should just go, I am good enough. I can keep improving myself. And all I can control is the input, and that's it. And then, because we've internalized that, we now, as a result, are confident. So, self-awareness, just simply self-awareness. Then, I don't know, go hit the gym. That's another thing. Again, it's all about your inputs. Going to the gym, doing good habits, reading, working on yourself. Like, you are most likely not going to be confident if you're playing video games, eating junk food, watching pornography, jacking off, doing all the bad habits. You're most likely not going to be confident at all because you have no value. That's where the lack of confidence comes from. And then if you think you have value and you start boasting about it, then actually, in fact, you have no value because you have to compensate it with your verbalizations. But is it better to be arrogant than to say nothing at all? I don't know. It's better, I believe. This is probably one of the rules that Jordan Peterson said in his book, 12 Rules for Life. When listening to someone, assume they know something that you don't. That just leads to a place where, what's the word? You're never the one above. You are always listening. And you humble yourself. Just humble yourself. And again, this is going to take a lot of internal work. Maybe some journaling. Like, I can only give you the tips, but most of the work has to be done by you. And also, how do you achieve self-awareness? Just ask questions and try to find the answers. Because again, because I've been reading a book by Patrick Bet-David, I think Your Next 5 Moves, like your next 5 business moves, like your next 5 moves in terms of business. And the first move is actually knowing yourself. Because people tend to not really explore or discover what they want, who they are, why they came to be. Like, it takes a lot of great reflection to understand that. But yeah, that's sort of my 2 cents and rant about the major difference between confidence and arrogance, that being a place of lack. Because with true confidence, you don't have to say it because you just are. Thanks for watching.